Mark Martin will try desperately today to hold on to his Winston Cup points lead. He has a single-point advantage going into this race over Dale Earnhardt, who has won the pole for today's race, his second consecutive pole. But both will be trying to stop the Winston Cup road racing specialist, Rusty Wallace, who's going for 3 consecutive road course wins today here at the Budweiser at the Glen. A more peaceful and beautiful part of the United States and the Finger Lakes region of New York State with its waterfalls and deep gorges. Besides beauty, this region has also provided some of the best racing action.
Does he have the horsepower to gain the top spot into turn 1? Rusty Wallace takes the lead from Tim Richmond. Here are the leaders. We have a lead change coming up. Waltrip and Ken Schrader go into the corner side by side. Let's see who comes out. Schrader drifts high, almost loses it, gathers it back in, and Darrell Waltrip has the lead. Here they come off the 7th corner. Who's going to win it? They're side by side. Rusty is well off the track. He cannot win it, and Ricky Rudd does. Unbelievable. Oh, and Morgan Shepherd is into the wall. Morgan Shepherd loses it and slides into the wall. Down the backstretch, Jeff Bodine, smoke pouring from the car. He shredded a tire. Here he comes from the fast corner. He's not going to be able to say it. Jeff Bodine spins the car. He's into the grass and hard into the wall.
In New York, it's the Budweiser at the Glen. And the beautiful rolling hills of the Finger Lakes region of New York State have once again been shattered as 40 Winston Cup stock cars roar to life for round number 18 of the Winston Cup Series for 1990. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to the Budweiser at the Glen, the second and final road course race for the Winston Cup stars of 1990. It's always been an exciting race here at Watkins Glen. Today should be no exception. Now the point standings as we head into the competition. Mark Martin is on top of the standings, but by only 1 point over Dale Earnhardt, who's won the pole for today's race. The hometown favorite here this afternoon, Jeff Bodine, is 135 points behind due to 2 wins this year. Rusty Wallace, coming into this race last year, was 165 points behind. He's 171 behind this year in 4th place. And Kyle Petty is 5th in the Winston Cup standings. Now, Mark Martin, the points leader, had a problem in the practice session late last week. For more on that, let's go to one of our 2 pit reporters for the afternoon, Dr. Jerry Punch.
Bob, Thursday afternoon, the spinning car of rookie Troy Beebe was T-boned almost simultaneously by Dick Trickle and Mark Martin up in turn 4. Now, Troy Beebe will not start today. He is recovering at a hospital in Sarah, Pennsylvania. Dick Trickle's car totally destroyed. He will start a backup Trop Arctic Pontiac and have relief driver help from Dorsey Schrader. Mark Martin's car also destroyed. He brought a backup brand new road course car out and qualified 3rd. So he will follow arch rival Dale Earnhardt in turn 1 when they drop the green flag. Let's go up pit road to John Kernan.
Jerry, they made a couple of improvements on pit road. First of all, they have added some pits. It's allowed them to extend the pit area. Now, that gives the teams more room to service their cars. They've also put up a new and extended pit road wall. Now, you would all recall last year, Dale Earnhardt accelerating out of turn 7. The car suddenly shuts off. He makes a hard right-hand turn through the pylons into the pits. Now, with this new pit road wall, it would not be an option this year for Dale if something like that should happen. Now, you know, Benny Parsons usually watches these races from high above the racetrack in a luxury air-conditioned announcer's booth. But, Benny, you're out in the hot air with the rest of us working-class people, aren't you?
John, I'm out in turn 1 on the camera platform. I'm going to be able to tell who's first off pit road. I'm also going to be able to see these cars come down the front straightaway at 150 miles an hour, check their speed to 75 miles an hour through the slowest part of the racetrack. Turn 1. Ned Jarrett, folks, usually sits right beside of me. Where is Ned Jarrett? On down around the racetrack. Turn 2, up the hill, turn 3. That's the S's. Turn 4, and somewhere over there is Ned Jarrett. Aren't you, Ned?
Yeah, Benny, I'm out here about a mile away from you, I guess. I'm just at the entrance of turn 5, which is perhaps the most treacherous turn on this racetrack. Now, before they start slowing down to come into turn 5, they reach speeds in qualifying of over 175 miles an hour. We'll be checking them some today to see how fast they're going with this speed gun. There's always a lot of action here, and we'll be reporting it for you. But, Bob, I believe I'll get a little further off the racetrack than this.
Yeah, I would advise that the cars are headed for you right now, and I'm all alone up here in the air-conditioned booth this afternoon. I hope you guys have fun. It should be a great race. Let's take a look now at the Sears Die-Hard starting lineup for the Budweiser at the Glen. On the pole from Kannapolis, North Carolina, his second career Pole for the road course, Dale Earnhardt, the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet. Terry Labonte from Corpus Christi, Texas. His best start of 1990 outside row number 1. Second row, current points leader in Winston Cup, Mark Martin, the Folgers Coffee Ford. Then Rusty Wallace going for 3 road course wins in a row, car 27, the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac. Hometown favorite Jeff Bodine starts next. He has 1 road course win in his career. And then Bill Elliott, who won his first Winston Cup event on the road course. He drives the Coors Melling Ford. Gary Coe from Spanaway, Washington starts in 7th position. Alongside in the 4th row will be Michael Waltrip from Owensboro, Kentucky in car number 30. In the 5th row, it's Alan Kowicki in car number 7 and Tom Kendall, the current Trans Am points leader, in car number 40. Going to the next row, it'll be Ken Schrader and Ricky Rudd. Row number 7, Brett Bodine and Kyle Petty. Dick Johnson and Hut Strickland are in row number 8. And as you look at the rest of the starting lineup, we have 40 cars that are getting set to go. And Ned, they're headed for you at the end of the backstretch. How do they look?
Well, they're looking good, Bob, as they come into turn 5. The pace car is still in front of them, but the driver's wiggling the cars back and forth, trying to get a little heat into those tires and ready for that green flag.
Boy, it's just a gorgeous day here in the Finger Lakes region of New York State. We had a little bit of fog this morning, but it has burned off. And now we get set for 90 laps of racing. That equates to 219 miles of competition. In our in-car cameras today, we have 3 of them. There's the one in Ricky Rudd. We'll be watching his foot movement during the afternoon as he brakes and accelerates and uses the clutch. You see Ricky using the foot brake. And here is a shot on the left front suspension on the Dick Trickle car. Now, we'll be watching that left front lift off the pavement as it goes through some of the corners here. Now, we're getting set for the green flag as the cars come through turn number 6 and head for turn number 7. And just after they come off the 7th corner, we will have the green flag, sending them on to 90 laps of competition. Welcome, everybody, on this Sunday afternoon to our coverage of the Budweiser at the Glen Winston Cup race. Here comes the field off of corner number 7. Doyle Ford waves the green flag, and the Budweiser at the Glen is on.
The race is underway down in turn 1. Earnhardt, Terry Labonte, side by side. Who's going to win? Earnhardt wins the race into turn 1. Labonte comes in second. Meanwhile, they're 3 abreast. The 38 car Schrader. Everyone so far has made it through. Down to turn 2. Cars still 2 abreast, about 10th spot.
And as they come off of turn 4 up the hill, Benny, which is a real danger spot for them, really. As they come up that hill, they can't see what's on the other side, but Earnhardt still leads them, and now they're reaching speeds upwards of 175 miles an hour. Now he has to start gearing down and breaking into this turn 5. Back in the pack, they're about 3 wide. They're going to have to single out if they're going to make this turn. Earnhardt with a 6-7 car length lead over Terry Labonte.
And here they come now to our position here on the main straightaway, as again they're trying to get in single file formation for this corner number 6 and 7. We see a car smoking in the back of the field, may have had contact with someone else. Dick Johnson's car appears to be leaking something. There's the 25 of Kenny Schrader, and here comes the field off of corner number 7, completing lap number 1. It's Earnhardt leading, Terry Labonte second, Mark Martin, then Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott, and Jeff Bodine.
Earnhardt still with a 5-point lead. Labonte not letting him get away. Mark Martin is third. And look, their cars back 3 abreast trying to get in turn 1. Herb Hare trying to get by the Brett Bodine car. And Kyle Petty is off in the dirt. He keeps the car going straight and gets the car back on the racetrack with no problem then.
Now they head through the S's once again and up the hill and that long straightaway where the speeds are reaching again 170 miles an hour as Earnhardt starts breaking down going into this turn. Mark Martin running in 3rd place. Jeff Bodine moving up on Bill Elliott as they head into turn 5. But this is a single groove turn, especially in the first part of the race.
Michael Waltrip looking like he wanted to get a position. And here comes Earnhardt leading lap number 2.
Showing the way here at Watkins Glen. Now, we were told a little bit ago by Carl and Richard Childress that Earnhardt would lead the all-important first lap to get those 5 bonus points, and then possibly Earnhardt would back off a little bit and try to save the tire. We watched yesterday as Tommy Kendall, one of the Trans Am drivers, saved his tires early on, and and was able to finish up front. They are very, very concerned about both rear tires here at Watkins Glen, so watch for Earnhardt to possibly take a good conservative line here the next few laps.
It's still Earnhardt leading, and his advantage over Terry Labonte is about 4 or 5 car lengths, and then back to that third-place car, driven by Mark Martin, the current Winston Cup points leader, as they come up through the S's once again. The number 38 car of Dick Johnson, as we watch those running up front, we will tell you has moved from 15th position to 11th. And now inside Ricky Rudd's car for the foot cam.
And you can see as he breaks into the turn, starts changing gears, he's running in 10th place at the moment. Ricky Rudd, one of the smoothest road course drivers there is, certainly in all of NASCAR. And now they're headed off of turn 5 into turn 6, Bob.
And about to complete lap number 3 as we watch Ricky Rudd with Michael Waltrip just ahead, and then Alan Kulwicki just ahead of Michael Waltrip. That's Derek Cope leading this foursome.
Bob Jenkins, you see, Ricky Rudd is not using the clutch. He's shifting the transmission without using the clutch. His left foot is on the brake, the right foot on the gas. There he did use the clutch on the upshift, but I noticed going in turn 5 that he did not use the clutch at all.
He's hard on the brakes, though. You can see him heeling and towing on the brake, on the accelerator. Now hard on the accelerator as they move between turns number 2 and 3.
You can see him change the gear there right quick and hard on the accelerator again, Bob. He does that foot and toe, heel and toe job as well as anyone you'll ever see in one of these race cars. Now he starts gearing down, or he put it into 4th gear there, and he'll start gearing down in just a moment as he heads into turn 5. You can see him working the brakes. On him a little bit heavier as he comes into the turn. He's got heavy traffic in front of him. Now he starts shifting up on the gears as he heads out of turn 5 into turn 6.
And there's Ricky Rudd getting slightly off course as he went into the grass to try to pick up that position on Michael Waltrip. He was able to do so. And now he's situated just behind Derek Cope in the Pure Leader car number 10. And just ahead of Derek Cope is Alan Kulwicki. 4 laps have been completed now, and Dale Earnhardt is the leader of the Budweiser at the Glen with Labonte, Martin, Wallace, and Elliott, the top 5. Car number 6, then a little bit of separation back to Bill Elliott, Jeff Bodine, Alan Kulwicki, Ricky Rudd, Michael Waltrip, Ken Schrader, and Derek Cope. Well, the second position has been changed, right, Benny?
Exactly right. Rusty Wallace outbroke the Terry Labonte automobile going in turn 1, takes second away, and folks, he has his eyes set on Dale Earnhardt.
Wallace, of course, has been the top road racer as far as wins are concerned for the last several years. He has won 2 of the 3 road courses that have been run here. Finished second in another one. Now, Kyle Petty is running way back in the pack. He's still in the lead lap, but he made an unscheduled pit stop a little while ago, and John Kernan is there.
Benny, what happened was he cut down a left, or Ned, I should say, he cut down a left rear tire. He's got 2 puncture marks. You can see this one right here where they ran over some debris on the track, perhaps a stone or a piece of metal or something. Cut the tire in 2 places. He had to come in and take on 2 new tires on the left side, but he lost a lot of time here in the pits.
Yeah, he did, John. He's way back in 37th position and has a lot of catching up to do with the rest of the field, so not a good start for Kyle Petty, who came into this event 5th in the Winston Cup point standings.
Bob, I would imagine that excursion he took off down in the dirt a moment ago caused that flat tire. Here's Earnhardt back on the screen and Rusty Wallace right behind him.
Now, another place, Benny, that a driver can outbrake the other one is coming into turn 5, but it's not the best place in the world to do it as they come through the S's here, because as we mentioned, they're running over 170 miles an hour as they approach turn 5, and trying to outbrake someone going into that turn can be disastrous for you if you miss. Here they come down now into that turn. Earnhardt leading the way. He has a good line coming into turn 5. He goes out wide and then dips down to the low side of the racetrack. In fact, it looks like he was able to pick up a little bit, Bob, on Rusty Wallace as he made that turn.
Now, Ned, you mentioned they're running about 175 miles an hour at the end of the backstretch, but how much do they break? What's their speed through that corner number 5 where you are?
They get down to about 75 to 90 miles an hour. It depends a great deal on how old their tires are. As the tires get older and heated up, they don't adhere quite as well, so they'll get down to 75 or 80 miles an hour then.
Running in fourth position is Mark Martin from Batesville, Arkansas. The number 6 Folgers Ford, prepared by Jack Rouse. Just a single-point lead in the battle for the Winston Cup as they come into this event. Rusty Wallace now tucked right on the rear deck of Dale Earnhardt. Terry Labonte is third. Then here comes this second group of cars being led by Bill Elliott.
Other cars coming down in turn 1. There's Davey Allison's automobile on the inside of Hud Strickland.
You know, Benny, Davey Allison is calling his car Titleist. That car was wrecked in a practice session. There's so many ripples and dimples in the car, they're calling it Titleist before the golf ball. Here is the number 4 car of Ernie Irvan making an unscheduled pit stop. Much too early for regular pit stops. Obviously, Ernie feeling like there may be a tire going down. Now he backs up the car. And he apparently was over the hose. Now he's getting that car positioned correctly in the pit area. John Kernan standing there.
Well, now Ernie is trying to pull away. They went around to the left side of the car. What's wrong with the car? Ratchet turn loose, Bob.
Okay, well, it was a quick stop for Ernie Irvan, but as you see, he lost a lot of positions. He comes out on the racetrack behind Kyle Petty, who earlier made an unscheduled pit stop. Uh-oh! It looks like Rusty Wallace is ready to take the lead. He's got it.
Bob, it looks like that Rusty Wallace is getting down in this corner unbelievably well, because he does take the lead on Earnhardt, trying to stretch it away on turn 2 through the S's as they go up the hill. Here's the spot on Thursday afternoon where Dick Trickle and Mark Martin had their actual Troy Beatty right there at about 160, 70 miles an hour.
And Benny, look at Earnhardt close back up on Rusty Wallace as they come up that hill. He has a lot of horsepower coming up there, but he'd have to get up beside of him as they go into turn 5 if he's going to make a pass here, and I don't think he'll be able to do it this time.
Rusty Wallace has won 5 of the last 7 road course races dating back to the middle of '87. Here's how Rusty got the lead. Benny, in your corner.
This is down the front straightaway, just simply outbrakes Dale Earnhardt. That's the move we're going to see all day when the guy wants a position. Just drive it in there, hope that you can outbrake and stay on the racetrack. If you don't stay on the racetrack, possibly you could have a flat tire, as we saw Kyle Petty.
Now here's that camera we have looking at the left front suspension on the Dick Trickle car. We're looking for some daylight under the tire, as it will undoubtedly lift off the pavement as he goes around some of the fast corners here at Watkins Glen. Dick Trickle driving car number 66, and he told us earlier in the day that he was going to try to go to the first pit stop and then turn the car over to Dorsey Schrader.
Bob, I think he was hoping for an early caution so that they could make that driver change. He is continually dropping back. He's running a pretty good pace out there, and there's problems.
Ricky Rudd involved in a crash. Also Jeff Bodine, possibly. Ricky Rudd trying to get the car headed in the right direction, but the car has sustained some damage. He comes back onto the racetrack just ahead of the number 13 car driven by Oma Kembro.
There was some contact between the 11 and the 5. Both cars spun, and all kinds of cars through the dirt trying to avoid the trouble, but both cars are underway. We'll have to find out if there is any damage to either Jeff Bodine or Ricky Rudd.
Well, Benny, I'm looking at Jeff Bodine's car as he comes into turn 5. It looks okay from our position here. There is something dragging from it. It looks like just a piece of wire or small hose or something like that. And the car number 5 looked okay as he went around turn 5 as well.
The 22 car, Rick Ware, got off the course there momentarily, but now he's back in good shape. Meanwhile, back up front.
And we can see that Rusty Wallace is now leading, but Terry Labonte has taken over the second spot from Dale Earnhardt. Look, Earnhardt several car lengths behind these 2 leaders.
Yeah, he's fallen to 4th position as Mark Martin has now moved to 3rd. So Dale Earnhardt, who led the first few laps of this race, goes from 1st to 4th in about 3 laps as Rusty Wallace is now followed by Terry Labonte. Well, we'd like to remind you that you can get some inside information on everything that's going on in Winston Cup racing. Our Sports 1-900 number, and the new number to dial is 1-900-SPORTS-1. Now, we're changing the format of this a little bit. You'll be able to get some race highlights, some news, and you hear some close-up and personal comments from Darrell Waltrip Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott, Jeff Bodine, Harry Gant. All you have to do after dialing the Sports 1-900 number is punch in the car number of that particular driver, and you'll be able to hear some personal comments from that particular individual. We're live at the Budweiser at the Glen, and we'll be right back. 11 of 90 laps completed in the Budweiser at the Glen. Rusty Wallace is the leader, followed by Terry Labonte. Mark Martin is third, Dale Earnhardt runs fourth, and Bill Elliott is fifth. Showing the racing here at the Budweiser at the Glen as Rusty Wallace has moved into the lead now. As we have completed 13 laps, Mark Martin running in second position.
The true road racers, Rusty Wallace, one of the best that NASCAR has. Jack Roush, the owner of Mark Martin's automobile, one of the best road racing car builders in the country. Those two cars running 1-2, and Rusty Wallace had a few, about a 20 car length on Mark Martin. And Jerry Punch has a report from pit road.
We're standing in the Rusty Wallace pit. We're trying to get a word with Barry Dodson. Richard Childress has told us that Childress said that Earnhardt's strategy was possibly to lead a few laps and then lay back and save the tires. Are you concerned about Rusty's pace now?
Not really, Jerry. 2 laps ago he called and told us he was going to take it easy. He knows you need to save the brakes here, and he knows you need to save the tires. So we just seem to be in good shape right now.
Rusty Wallace content to take it easy, but try to lead here at Watkins Glen. Bob?
All right, Rusty Wallace now out in front of the Budweiser at the Glen. And just a few minutes ago, we did have a driver change as Dick Trickle came in, and Dorsey Schrader, who's the reigning Trans Am champion, was standing by, ready to take over the controls of the Trop Arctic Pontiac. There's Trickle exiting the car, being assisted, and in fact being carried away by one of those pit crew members, and Dorsey Schrader goes in. Dick was injured in that accident that Jerry spoke of, and also has sent Troy Beebe to the hospital. Now our best wishes for a speedy recovery to Troy Beebe. Inside now, the Dick Trickle car being handled by Dorsey Schrader.
Rusty Wallace going through the S's. Turn 4 as he makes a right-hander. He's going down that long back straightaway, and I think my buddy Ned's back there somewhere.
Well, Benny, he makes those turns so easy. We're going to put the speed gun on him and see what he's turning as he comes down the straightaway. About 168 miles an hour that time. Slows her down to about 70 miles an hour in the center of the turn. But he's looking very smooth and pulling away a little bit now from Mark Martin.
So the pace has settled down here a bit as they were up to 175 miles an hour earlier, but now Rusty Wallace 168. An unusual number of early pit stops. Here's John Kernan.
Bob, what we're seeing are some cut tires now. Greg Sachs was in just a few minutes ago. I see Irv Hare leaving the pits right now. He's been in for unscheduled service. But the problem again, we saw Kyle Petty with a cut tire, also a cut tire on the Greg Sachs automobile. And I've had some of the crew members pass me by going up there. They're very interested because, you know, they do get off the course at times. They kick some debris out on the racetrack, and they're a little bit worried that their driver may also cut a tire.
You know, we talked about in Pocono how there are a lot of cut tires there because of drivers getting off the corners and kicking up some dust. Well, it happens all over the place on a road course.
It sure does, and there's where it almost happens as Bill Elliott tries to go on the outside of the Dale Jarrett Sitco Ford, not able to get by, has to follow through the S's of this racetrack because it is just, if you get outside two abreast, not only is it dangerous, but you may, in fact, cut a tire.
And Jerry went by us a little bit while ago with the flat tire, so he is a lap down now as he's racing with Bill Elliott, trying to get back up and get back in the lead lap. Meanwhile, Rusty Wallace is pulling away. Jarrett holding his own there. There's Alan Kowicka behind Bill Elliott. Alan running good. And here's trouble in turn 5. Greg Sachs has slammed hard into the wall here in turn 5.
And a full course caution is going to be displayed because of Greg Sachs' accident in turn number 5 as he came slamming into those tires.
We saw the Greg Sachs automobile bobble. He was right in front of the Bill Elliott and Dale Jarrett cars. We saw him bobble as he entered turn 5. Evidently, something happened to that automobile which caused Greg to lose control.
We do see some movement near the cockpit area of the car. We'll stand by for a further update, though, on whether there were any injuries in this Greg Sachs accident that has brought out the first caution period of the race here at Watkins Glen. 5 after 16 laps. Rusty Wallace leads. Mark Martin is second, followed by Terry Labonte, Dale Earnhardt, and Bill Elliott. We are cautioned because of a crash. Here's the second 5. Kowicki, Schrader, Waltrip, Marlin, and Cope. We are cautioned because of an accident out in turn number 5. Which has involved Greg Sachs. And Ned, what's going on out there in your location?
Well, you can see the safety people are there attending to the Slim Fast Chevrolet, and Greg Sachs has already gotten out of the car and has waved to the crowd. Now, here's what happened. We see him on the bottom of the screen as he heads into the turn 5 right in front of Dale Jarrett. And then all of a sudden, you see the car gets a little wiggly as he goes into the turn. Jarrett backs off, and then Sachs goes out of sight onto the grass and into the wall, almost where Jeff Bodine hit here a year ago near the end of the race. But again, Greg Sachs has crawled out of the car.
And here come the pit stops. Here's Jerry Punch.
Rusty Wallace getting service from Barry Dodson, Jimmy Maycar, and the crew. Looks like they will make a tire change. All 4 tires. A good chance for these crews to get a look at the Goodyear tires. Full pit road. Every car in for 4 tire change. Ricky Rudd is also in. Let's go up to John Kernan.
The Levi Garrett Chevrolet team are working on a 4 tire change. They've got the left sides already on. They're going to work on the right sides, and that's coming up. Ricky needs a good pit stop. You recall he had fallen back in the field. Now the car going up on the right side. Rusty Wallace has already won the race out of the pits. And just a really long pit stop. Now Tommy Kendall almost knocks Ricky Rudd in, but Rudd finally gets around him, and now Kendall is also away.
And there was also a near collision involving Dale Jarrett and Bill Elliott, as both of those tried to occupy the same spot on the exit of pit road. But everybody appears to be getting out of the pits okay. A busy pit road as nearly everybody came in under this caution period. We'll return for more of our live action right after this. Watkins, Glen, New York for the Budweiser at the Glen Winston Cup race. While there was avoidance of car-to-car contact on pit road, unfortunately we have had an individual hit. Jerry Punch is right there.
Jerry.
Okay, John Kernan.
Jerry is leaning over treating Barry Swift. He's the rear tire changer on Michael Waltrip's team. Now, no one here in the pits, apparently they didn't see what happened, but he did get hit either by a car or maybe by a tire that someone had thrown off. He is lying on the ground. Jerry is looking over him, and I don't think we should speculate on his condition right now. And I tell you what, Bob, we'll get back to you as soon as we find out more. But it's Barry Swift, the rear tire changer for Michael Waltrip's car.
All right, thank you, John. We'll stand by for your update on that situation, as an incident in the pit area has felled one of the pit crew members, and Dr. Jerry Punch now relinquishes his position as pit reporter and goes to work as a physician. And there is the very badly damaged car of Greg Sachs, which went into the tire barrier very hard in turn number 5. It's going to be a few minutes, I guess, Ned, before we can restart this race because of damage to the wall.
Yes, there was quite a bit of damage done to it, Bob, because he hit it hard with the left side of the Ultra Slim Fast Chevrolet, and he bounced back off the wall because there are a tremendous amount of tires there that helps to cushion before you would hit the guardrail. And then there is a wire fence with cable on it behind the railing. But there was damage done to all of that. The workers are there now making repairs, so it will take a little bit to get that repaired before they'll restart the race.
Again, Greg Sachs is okay. He got out of the car, he waved to the crowd, and apparently is okay with no injury. But there is the very badly damaged car of Greg Sachs. Last year, you'll remember, there was an incident also on pit road that injured one of the pit crew members, Tony Casanova, being hit as Dale Earnhardt came into the pits. This was last year here at Watkins Glen, and there has been another incident on pit road this year involving one of Michael Waltrip's pit crew members, Barry Swift. Dr. Jerry Punch looking that situation over very carefully in the pit area. Meanwhile, there is the repair effort that's going on in turn number 5. They're trying to get that guardrail and the tires so that they will protect that area once again. That's where Greg Sachs went in with great force just a few laps ago. There was, of course, also an incident in Talladega a few weeks ago on pit road, as Stanley Smith was tagged from behind as he was exiting the pits and went slamming into the car. And driven by Tracy Leslie and knocking his pit crew members. Nobody in that incident was seriously injured, and it's an absolute miracle that nobody was, because 4 of them were knocked down and sent flying, but no serious injuries in that incident. But you can see perhaps the situation is a little more serious here at the Glen, as Dr. Jerry Punch, again, you can see is the attending physician in this situation. So we'll take another break and be back with more at Watkins Glen. Is still behind the pace car, under caution here at Watkins Glen. They're approaching turn number 5, near where the accident occurred, and Ned Jarrett is right there.
Well, Bob, we noticed a moment ago that the workmen were here trying to make repairs on the fence where Greg Sachs finally wound up. There was not a great deal of damage done to the guardrail here. It was a matter really of replacing the tires that we mentioned earlier that protect or sort of soften the cushion here before they would get into the guardrail. So they have that work done now and should be ready to go racing before too long.
All right, thank you, Ned, for an on-the-scene report there at turn number 5, exactly where Greg Sachs went in. He is okay. Now you see the lights on the top of the pace car have been turned out, signifying to the field that they will be getting the green flag this time around. The leader of the race is Irv Hare. Now, he made a pit stop early in the event and stayed out there during this most recent caution period, so he is at the head of the field right now as the pace car comes between turns 6 and 7, and we should be getting the green flag in the restart of the Budweiser at the Glen here in just a moment. The green will come out on lap number 20. It's a 90-lap, 219-mile race here this afternoon, and here comes the field off of corner number 7. The green flag waves once again. We are back to racing. We'll watch Rusty Wallace perhaps make a move early on Irv Hare.
Davey Allison desperately wanting to stay in front of this field. Irv Hare, meanwhile, takes the lead. Rusty Wallace is second. Dale Earnhardt has finished second on the pit crew race out of the pits.
Alan Kowicki off course there as they came through turn number 1, but he's backing okay as they head through the S's and up the hill once again onto the long backstretch. Let's go to John Kernan for an update on the injury on pit road.
Well, Barry Swift has now been placed on a stretcher. He got hit by the gas can, and from what I could see, he had a cut in his left forehead. And Jerry, I believe, asked him if he was okay, as Dr. Jerry Punch was attending to him, and he shook his head. Yes, he is being taken away from the track now. And now let's go for an update with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Actually, what happened with him, I didn't hear what you said. I had to headset off for a minute, John. I apologize. But he was a rear tire changer, Barry Swift. Apparently, as he was coming back across behind the car, he was struck by the gas can. Gas can came across the wall, hit him in the left side of the head. He has a laceration about 1.5 inches to 2 inches on the left side of his head. He was awake and alert, talking to us. They're going to take him in for some x-rays, complaining of a little bit of neck pain, but otherwise he moved everything. Hopefully that's all it is. Maybe a little minor bump on the head and a cut, and he should be okay. Hopefully that's all it is.
All right, thank you, Jerry, for your report and for your work down there on that incident. Now, here's the situation. Rusty Wallace, well, he passed Davey Allison and put him a lap down, and now Davey comes fighting back and goes back ahead of Rusty Wallace. But in any case, Rusty Wallace is the leader, and Davey Allison is at the tail end of the lead lap as Irv Hare runs second and Dale Earnhardt is in third position. And here is our Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance report on Rusty Wallace. Look at this, 13.8 seconds to get in and out of the pits by Rusty Wallace. It took the crew 26.6, a total of 41.4 seconds for that most recent pit stop by Rusty Wallace. And he's still having difficulty putting Davey Allison a lap down.
Well, Bob, in practice here on Thursday and Friday before qualifying, Davey Allison had one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Now, he did crash during practice, or during his qualifying run. They repaired that same race car, and he was the fastest second round qualifier here yesterday. So he has a very fast race car.
Terry Labonte has fallen to 6th position now, and here's his pit stop performance report. 16.5 on the driver and 30.5 for the crew. Much slower, 47. And the crew was about the same, but Terry took a little bit extra time getting into and out of the pits, resulting in a 47-second pit stop. And now Terry Labonte runs in 6th position. Dale Earnhardt has passed Irv Hare and now gone to 2nd, so it's Rusty Wallace, then Dale Earnhardt, Irv Hare, and Mark Martin. And Mark Martin appears to be ready to make a move on Irv Hare for that third position. Not able to do it yet.
Well, Bob, the way they stand right now, after Dale Earnhardt led early in the race and picked up those 5 Winston Cup bonus points, he and Mark Martin are exactly tied for the point lead. Mark Martin would like to get up there and get that 5 bonus points as well, so that he could at least gain that advantage back.
Well, as in all our NASCAR races, Goodyear will be sending a check for $1,000 in the name of the pole sitter Dale Earnhardt to the Winston Cup Racing Wives Auxiliary. And there is Earnhardt as he now tries to put Davey Allison a lap down, as Rusty Wallace has once again positioned himself at the front of the field and leads the Budweiser at the Glen, and Earnhardt looking for the chance to pass Allison.
Allison trying to keep Earnhardt behind him, but Earnhardt trying to get inside, going through the edges, decides that's not a very good idea. You know, I was talking to some fellows earlier on, and they really running some weird drive shaft, transmission rear-end ratios this weekend. Some of them are using an overdrive, which is less than a 1-to-1, like a .90. The problem is that drive shaft RPM ends up being about 9,000 RPM. You know, and the drive shaft, the rear housing, those axles, those things are only good for about 8,000 RPM. It's a real gamble on some people's part.
Well, Benny, this is exactly what happened to Ernie Irvan. Take a look at what's left of the axle on the Kodak Chevrolet. Irvan had to make a lengthy pit stop. They have replaced the axle there now. He's back out, but you see the axle literally chewed away from the inside there where it connects in the rear end. A tough break for Ernie Irvan. That's what happens on a road course. The equipment really takes a beating.
It certainly does. But for Rusty Wallace, things are going just fine, thank you, as he continues to lead here at the Bud. And the 17 car of Sarl van der Merwe has gone off course in turn number 6. This, of course, is the Darrell Waltrip car, but is being driven here this weekend by road racing specialist, many times competitor in the GTP division. That is Sarl van der Merwe from South Africa. One of 2 foreign drivers we had in the field when we began. The other, of course, Dick Johnson, who hails from Australia. And Sarl van der Merwe was running in 17th position in the number 17 car when this incident occurred. Looks like he just got the rear wheels up in the loose stuff and couldn't handle turn number 6. Into the grass he went, but he was able to get it straightened out. There is some damage, however, to the right front of that car, and here comes van der Merwe into the pits with smoke pouring from the right front of that car. Obviously, some sheet metal is rubbing against the tire. There is our leader, Rusty Wallace. He has been one of 3 leaders that we have had so far in this event with 24 laps in the books. We'll do a field rundown for you at the end of 23 laps. Irv Hare hanging right in there in 3rd position. Looking good. He, of course, has some experience on this racetrack and other forms of racing. Ricky Rudd finds himself in 9th position. Who is the other driver besides Rusty Wallace, who has won the last 7 Winston Cup road races. Tommy Kendall, the Trans Am points leader, currently running in 13th position. There's van der Merwe, 17th, before he slid off course. This was at the end of 23 laps. Kyle Petty making the comeback from the early pit stop that he made. Dick Johnson, the other foreigner in the field from Brisbane, Australia, running in 21st position. He, of course, also has a lot of experience on the road courses. King Richard running 22nd at the moment. Butch Miller crashed in qualifying, had to start scratch on the field, but has worked up to 25th position. Jim Sauter is now in the Dave Marcus car, as Dave has gotten out of that. He, of course, is still recuperating from that broken leg suffered at Daytona, and so Jim Sauter has taken over that car. We're live at the Budweiser at the Glen. We'll be back right after these messages. Kernan to Dr. Jerry Punch back at Budweiser at the Glen at Watkins Glen, New York, and Rusty Wallace in the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac car number 27 leads the way. Dale Earnhardt running in 2nd position, followed by Irv Hare and Mark Martin. And a good battle for that 3rd position, Benny, as they head for you.
It's Mark Martin on the inside of the Skoll Oldsmobile. Irv Hare, he's not able to make the pass. Irv Hare able to outbreak him going in turn 1. Meanwhile,
And welcome back to the Budweiser at the Glen. We apologize for our transmission difficulties that has temporarily interrupted our coverage of this event, but it's still Rusty Wallace in the lead with Dale Earnhardt running in second position. A great battle between Mark Martin and Irv Heron. As you can see, Mark Martin has taken over that third spot, and here comes Jeff Bodine in the red number 11 and Ricky Rudd in the yellow and white number 5 as they are moving up through the traffic.
Well, I tell you what, that was a very gutsy move by Ricky Rudd to pull in on the inside of Davey Allison going through turn 1. You know, folks, we saw the incident on pit road just a moment ago. Last year, we showed you the Tony Casanova incident where Earnhardt hit him while he was trying to make a pit stop. These folks at Watkins International Raceway over the winter spent $750,000 fixing the pit road. As John Kernan showed you, they extended it, giving each car 6 or 7 more feet. Thank goodness we did not have an incident where a car hit one of the pit crew members. That's something we've got to stop at the races.
The incident on pit road just a few minutes ago involving Terry Swift was when he was hit by a flying gas can, suffering a laceration on the forehead, but not believed to be seriously injured. We're riding with Ricky Rudd, and now we're looking back at Rudd from the car driven by Jeff Bodine, the Budweiser Ford, as they battle for the 5th position. They got the 6th position. Bodine right now in 6th, and Ricky Rudd is back there in 7th.
Of course, those were the two cars that got together a little bit earlier, Bob, and there is some sheet metal damage to the left side of Ricky Rudd. You can see as he goes around the turn, a little bit of damage to the left door of the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, but certainly it's not affecting the running ability of it.
They come up through the S's once again, and Bodine holds on to that position. Foot can on Jeff Bodine. Look at that right foot. It's mashed all the way to the firewall. And now just gently tapping the brakes. But notice the difference. Benny, how about this? He uses the left foot to brake, whereas Ricky Rudd, that we saw earlier, heeled and towed with the right.
Well, that's right. Jeff Bodine told me he does not use the clutch at all. Just the left foot. And he was not lightly tapping the brakes. He was pumping hard going in turn 5. Trying to watch him as he pumps the brake to get a full pedal going down in the corner. Never put his foot on the clutch at all. His left foot up above. Watch him pump. Get ready for the corner coming up. On the brakes again. This is turn 7. Now to the start-finish line.
And he mashes the accelerator all the way.
And the car ready to come down in turn 1. Downshifted to second gear. Right behind the car up Terry Labonte. Accelerating. Second. Third. Through turn 2. Up the hill. Still in third gear. Shifted into fourth gear. Building up speed to about 170 miles an hour now towards the exit.
Well, I got the radar gun on him, Benny. We'll see just how fast he is going. Yep, he hit about 171 before he started braking going into turn 5.
That is just a great shot, watching him work the pedals and move around this race course. Jeff Bodine currently running in 6th position, and earlier in the weekend, before all this happened, we asked, what do you do with your feet during a road race, Jeff?
What I do with my feet? Well, I don't look down at them. I use the right one for the gas and the left for the brake. I don't use a clutch. The transmission we have now, we don't need a clutch, only to get going. And so I just use 2 feet, brake and gas.
That's exactly what he showed us just a few minutes ago with the foot cam. And that battle continuing now. Bodine is closing in on Terry Labonte in car number 1.
Boy, did Jeff Bodine just chop off Ricky Rudd going out in turn 1. Rudd was almost alongside Jeff, but not quite. Had to get on the brakes heavy because Bodine came down in the groove. Unfortunately, Rudd almost there.
Of course, Bodine racing in front of the hometown folks. He grew up not too far from this racetrack, now trying to make the pass on Terry Labonte coming into turn 5, and he does it. Gets down on the inside on this right-hand turn and moves around Terry Labonte.
So Jeff Bodine moving into 5th position, and while we look back on Terry Labonte, who can tell you that the number 10 car, driven by Gary Cope, has had some problems and is smoking badly. And the number 0 car of Irv Hare also reported to be in trouble.
And up on pit road, I see Ernie Irvin standing out in the middle of pit road with Bill Elliott's pit force. So I wonder if that means that Bill Elliott has an unscheduled stop coming. Here we look, Labonte trying to get by. Bodine going in turn 1, has the position. And Ricky Rudd tries to follow him through, tries to accelerate. Let's see if he can get him in turn 2. No, not able to do it. Cars fall back in line up the hill. And there is Bill Elliott with an unscheduled stop. Jerry Punch is there.
Going to change all 4 tires on the Chorus Ford. Apparently thought he had a tire going down, had a vibration in his car. Also, Irv Hare in the pits here, getting the left side tires, the right side tires, I should say, on the Chorus Ford. He is down and away. Elliott moving back down pit road.
Bill Elliott comes back out on the racetrack, relinquishing his 11th position. And here is Irv Hare, who is still in. John Kernan.
They're changing the tires right now, but the problem is the shifting lever broke. I looked in, it's just got the boot coming up out of the floorboard. The shifting lever is gone, so he's having to use a lot of muscle to shift that car into gear, because you need that shift lever to do all the leverage you can get.
We can see how slow he's leaving the pit, John. You might check with the crew members. I think that he only has 4th gear or high gear. The leaders go by, and Irv Hare, if he's not careful, is going to be a lap down.
Well, with Irv Hare gone, and he was running in the top 5, but now this becomes a battle for 4th position as Ricky Rudd comes in for a stop.
They will change tires on Ricky Rudd's Levi Garrett Chevrolet as Waddell Wilson and the crew go to work changing right side tires. They will also come around and change left side tires. Remember, the right side tires here on the road course take the beating. Now they clean the windshield around to the left side of the car. It's Lumina now going up on the jacks. And Jim Sauter brings Dave Holmes' car by. Still in the pits here under the green. Ricky Rudd getting an unscheduled stop. 4 tires. He is down and away.
He should be able to stay in the lead lap because Rusty Wallace is just now heading into turn 6, and he did indeed put a lap on Irv Hare. Jeff Bodine has gotten back around number 1 on Terry Labonte, so a lot of switching going on among positions here.
And there is Rusty Wallace, who remains at the front of the field. As you can see, he has passed the 0 car of Irv Hare and put him a lap down. But Rusty Wallace continues to lead this race with Dale Earnhardt running in 2nd, followed by Mark Martin, then Jeff Bodine, and Terry Labonte.
You can see just how important that 4 fresh tires are, because Irv Hare able to stay right on the back. No, he falls off the 27 car, now going through turn 2. Here's Ken Schrader in the pits. John Kernan, do you see him?
Ken Schrader pulls a Kodiak Chevrolet Lumina into the pits. He's had a tire go down, so they're going to change all 4 tires while they've got him in here. And they're working now on the left side of the car. The left nut's coming off on the right side. They need a really good pit stop under green. All he'll lose is track position. He should not lose a lap, I don't believe. Now the right side tires going on. They're taking a long time on this pit stop. The front lugs are tight, the rear lugs tight, and now Schrader is down and away.
Ken Schrader roaring back into action, relinquishing his 6th place position. But when you feel a tire going down, you gotta get it off. And there is the leader, Rusty Wallace, at the end of 34 laps here at the Budweiser at the Glen. So we're more than a third of the way through this race already. The top 5, Wallace, Earnhardt, Martin, Bodine, and Terry Labonte. We'll be right back. Left you, there was a car and several feet between the leader, Rusty Wallace, and 2nd place, Dale Earnhardt. Now, Earnhardt is really close to Rusty Wallace, and there's a good reason for that. Rusty Wallace got off course last lap, and it was a close call, Benny, right near you.
Look at this. The car gets loose, and Rusty Wallace goes up in the grass right to the, look, through the grass. He saved the race car. I don't believe he's touched anything on the racetrack. Unbelievable, but you can see the car. There he comes at us again, right straight to the guardrail, but at the last moment, he's able to get on the dirt, keep off the guardrail. Now he's able to get back on the racetrack and miss the guardrail on the other side. No wonder I quit this driving, Bob.
And the number 2 car of Jerry O'Neill slightly off course there, too, as Dale Earnhardt put a lap on him. Wow, that was an unbelievable situation involving Rusty Wallace, but he stays in the lead. Now, Irv Hare did pick up his lap, but Rusty Wallace maintained the lead throughout. The number 66 car and the 57 car, as Jimmy Spencer has come in contact with the guardrail. Jimmy Spencer at number 57 looking for the opportunity to pull back into the groove and get going again. But Jimmy Spencer with a problem up through the S's. All kinds of action going on here.
Well, that's a place you don't want to park. Jimmy, get the car moving, buddy.
And here's Ernie Irvan, who is very slow on the racetrack in that Lumina. Ernie Irvan is stopped on the racetrack. Let's go to Jerry Punch for a report.
Well, we've all known that Rusty Wallace's car has gotten very, very loose, and he's had his troubles. We're going to have a caution, full course yellow. They will be coming back down pit road. This will be a welcome pit stop. A minute ago, we saw Ricky Rudd come in. He had a cut left rear tire. The concern here early today was about blistering tires. Bill Elliott's unscheduled stop a minute ago, which we called, both right side tires were blistered. In fact, the right front tire was equalized. So a lot of concern up and down pit road about a possible tire problem. So this yellow flag certainly welcomed to many of the teams, including Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, and the others. They come in and get a chance to change all 4 tires.
It's lap number 38, and we will be seeing pit stops now because the yellow flag is out. However, the leader of the race, Rusty Wallace, had not taken the yellow, but now he does. And so the pace car now will come out, and pit road will be open. Well, there are lots of things that are important on a Winston Cup car, especially in a road course. And brakes are probably the most important. Here's Jerry Punch. And the yellow flag is out right now, reducing the speed of the field. We'll show you the top 10 as we go to break from Watkins Glen, New York, and the Budweiser at the Glen. Stay with us. Very busy. Cars now moving back out onto the racetrack. Everyone except Ricky Rudd did make a pit stop, and Rudd had made a pit stop just a few laps ago, so he stayed out there, whereas everybody else chose to come in for some service under this caution. Well, it sure is nice and cool up here in the booth, Benny. How you doing up there in the weather?
Jenkins, I'm going to put you out here the next time, and I'm going to be up in the air-conditioned booth. But I tell you what, the fans loved it just a moment ago because the pit crew race, Jeff Bodine brought the Budweiser Ford out in 3rd spot, right behind Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt. We'll see if he's got anything for these guys. Meanwhile, they go back down the back straightaway, and somewhere back there in all that massive humanity, and I'm telling you, folks, we have got a crowd. Hey, Ned, wave to us, buddy.
Okay, yeah, I'm back here, Benny. I'm still in existence as the cars head into turn 5 right now with the caution car, Elmo Langley, out in front of them. You mentioned that Ricky Rudd didn't make a pit stop, Bob. Well, you said that he made a pit stop not long ago under the green. So the caution really was somewhat of a blessing for him because it gives him good track position. His tires will be a little bit older than those of Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt, but they say that it only takes about 4 or 5 hard laps to wear the goodness off of the tires to where they slow down to a certain point, and then they sort of level out from there. So that was good, smart thinking on Waddell Wilson, the crew chief, on Ricky Rudd's car.
I'll tell you, somebody else who this caution helped was Irv Hare, who was at the tail end of the lead lap, and now he's back on the lead lap. Jerry Punch, what's going on with you down there? Got some tires to look at?
Indeed we do, Bob. A minute ago we told you about Bill Elliott's problems. Well, Barry Dotson said that's what we were afraid of. Take a look. This caution flag, this was the right rear tire on Rusty Wallace's Pontiac. Beginning to blister. You see this open little areas here where the rubber's been peeled away in the blister and wear significantly. A few more laps possibly, and Rusty Wallace would not be able to make another lap on the racetrack. He would have spun it, this tire would have come apart. So a good break for Rusty Wallace as the yellow flag came out, but now a lot of concern among some of the top runners.
Okay, so that's a situation that we will continue to keep our eye on throughout the afternoon here as the caution car continues to lead the field on the racetrack and complete lap number 40. We've got 50 more to go in this race, as the Budweiser at the Glen is under caution for the 2nd time this afternoon. This was because of Jimmy Spencer's spin into the wall and for Ernie Irvan's stalled car on the course. We'll be right back in just a moment. This guy has us dialed in on his satellite dish, and yeah, that reminds us, what in the world has Benny Parsons got in store this week for a hat of the week?
You see all these fellows inside the Winston Cup garage here, the mechanics, the drivers, the officials. Where did they eat? If they all went to lunch at 12 noon, they'd line up to a concession stand a mile long. What happens is most of the truck drivers go outside, raid a local grocery store, bring food on the trucks. That's where the crews, the drivers eat. Jack Flowers, one of the riders that follows the circuit, decided he would have a cook-off amongst the truck drivers to see who prepares the best food. So we have today assembled a group of judges. Ray Cooper with Chevrolet, Les Richter with NASCAR, Preston Miller with Ford, and Bill Broderick with Unocal and Old BP. We're going to test the food and see who is the best chef. Look at us, guys. You know we know good food. This is great. And this is the hat of the week. The aprons, the hats are going to Kirkwood, New York, September the 30th, 10 a.m. The Sea Galley Restaurant on Route 11. They're going to have an auction sale to raise money for a young man whose leg was cut off at a local racetrack this spring. So all these guys are going to sign the aprons, the hats. They're going to send them along. Brother, you going to sign the coat?
Ready.
You're ready? Let's go eat some more, want to?
I'm sure glad those guys were standing on the ground. There wouldn't be a platform in this place heavy enough to hold these guys. Ricky Rudd has a flat left tire. Pulls out of the groove. Dale Earnhardt is the leader of the race. There goes Rusty Wallace by Ricky Rudd. Rudd, who failed to come in during that caution period, is going to have to make one now because he has a flat left tire.
How unlucky can you get? Look, he's motioning for the people behind him. I've got to go in the pits. This is a new entrance. Remember, underneath the yellow line, down pit road, the cement wall on the inside. Ricky Rudd takes the car down pit road to his pit.
The Levi Garrett crew awaiting Ricky Rudd's arrival. This is a really bad break for them. They had stayed out because they had only 4 laps on those tires, and it put them into the lead. But just as they went back to green, he radioed in, said, I've got a left rear tire going down. So Waddell Wilson and the crew going to work. They will change all 4 tires. A good stuff on the left side. Now they come around the right side. Right side going up. Tires off, on. Crew working very, very quickly. Ricky sitting in the car, awaiting now. And Ricky is down and away.
The 1988 winner of the race here at Watkins Glen goes back out onto the race course. And the same thing that plagued him at Sonoma, that is cut tires, is also plaguing him here at Watkins Glen in the 1990 version of this race. He takes the Hendrick Chevrolet back out onto the racetrack and tries to make up some of the distance that he has lost because of that flat tire. There is the battle for the lead. It's Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace going at it as we watch from Jeff Bodine, who's running third.
If things work out the way they have been working out, Rusty Wallace is going to try to outbreak Dale Earnhardt coming down in turn 1. Let's see. Wallace takes a look, but not able to do it. Earnhardt holds the lead going through turn 1. Meanwhile, Jeff Bodine has a Budweiser Ford right on the back of these 2 cars.
Maybe Ricky Rudd did not lose a lap. He is way behind those cars. There's a lot of distance between he and the front-running cars, but he doesn't have a lot of daylight out there as we watch Jeff Bodine trying to make up some ground as they head through the S's and now down towards turn 5. And coming into this turn at about 172 miles an hour is Dale Earnhardt as he starts gearing down the Goodwrench Chevrolet. Sweeps wide into the turn, gets down to the inside, and Wallace follows right on the same groove. So does Jeff Bodine. Mark Martin not too far behind in the 4th position. Now, Bob, there's one place on the track where we've seen a lot of dust picked up, and that's when they're coming off of turn 5. That might be where some of those flat tires are coming from because a number of cars have gotten off of the track over there, and I'm sure that they've picked some debris up on the track.
All right. Thank you very much for that observation. There is Mark Martin, who is running in 4th position. Yet Bodine there in 3rd. Bodine, of course, grew up about 25 miles from this particular location. Let's go to the pits and report from John Kernan.
Bob, this is the left rear tire off of Ricky Rudd's car. Now, you can see right here, you can't see where it was actually cut, but they have marked it, and there is now a spin out on the racetrack. Caution is, they're expecting caution to come out down here in the pits. Bob?
Contact between the 27 car of Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt. Rusty Wallace not alongside Earnhardt going in turn 1. And look, Earnhardt almost pulls out in front of the traffic. He thinks better of it. He waits for the traffic to get by. Meanwhile, every car on the lead lap practically is going to go by as he gets the car righted.
So Dale Earnhardt, who was leading the race, now finds himself at the tail end of the field as there's contact between himself and Rusty Wallace. Wallace gets the lead, and Earnhardt, well,
nope, Jeff Bodine gets the lead.
Jeff Bodine has gone around Rusty Wallace.
In fact, Wallace has dropped back to third. Mark Martin moved up into second, and as Rusty Wallace went by turn 5 here, there was damage on the left side of his Miller Pontiac.
We see Rusty Wallace. This is where he's been making the passes all day. Earnhardt just does not realize he's there. The two cars make contact, and around goes Earnhardt. He's unable to save the car. There we see both Bodine and Mark Martin get by. Here's another angle. Just a little bit of a touch is all that Earnhardt needed. And he hits the left rear of Rusty Wallace's car. Maybe some damage to that left rear. Maybe some sheet metal rubbing that left rear. We'll have to check.
Now, while that was going on, another incident in turn 7. Rob Moroso and Sterling Marlin will have contact. And Rob Moroso spins the Crown Oldsmobile, car number 20. And he stops right in the path of all the traffic coming out of corner number 7. So a couple of spins here have really scrambled the field as Dale Earnhardt now falls back to... Transmission lost again from Watkins Glen. We continue to run the race, however, and our apologies for the lack of transmission from here. Some great stuff going on, though. Here comes possibly a battle for the lead as Mark Martin might look to Jeff Bodine and try to take that. Nope. Jeff Bodine is going to hold on to the lead.
Bob, Rusty Wallace has just blown an engine going down the front straightaway. He's almost dead in the water between turns 1 and 2.
So Rusty Wallace, it appears as if he will have that string of road course victories halted. He pulls off the racetrack. Rusty Wallace is out of the race. So there will be no third consecutive win for Rusty on road courses. But look at this great battle involving 3 cars up front.
And there's trouble in the S's, Bob. It looks like Kyle Petty's car spinning around. He comes to rest down on the inside or on the right side of the track. He's off the pavement. You can see him. He's okay, but he spun around at least twice. Don't know if he made contact with another car or if he cut a tire down, but Kyle Petty in trouble, and we'll watch the leaders now as they come back to the start and finish line, and I assume the caution will be coming out.
Well, there's no indication that that will be happening. Nope, Doyle Ford does not make any movement toward the yellow flag, so we will not have a caution. The 42 car of Kyle Petty was running in 7th position when that little incident occurred.
Well, he now has his car. He had to turn it around, Bob, and he almost did it in front of some other vehicles that were coming around, and it was like Dale Earnhardt. He got sideways in the track and had to wait until the traffic went by before he could get started. Now he is started, but there is a car parked on the inside of the track entering turn 5, so the caution should be coming out here. At least there's a caution for the turns here at turn 5.
Corner workers are really kept busy here trying to keep the drivers informed of what they may encounter in a particular corner. Notice the corner worker there on the right side of your screen is waving the yellow flag, and that means that there is a full course caution. The waving yellow flags by the corner workers indicate a full course caution, so this will be our 3rd of the afternoon.
Well, that'll be a break for Kyle Petty as we watch the leaders come back around. The pits, of course, will be closed this time by as they come around to get the caution, but Kyle Petty was going very, very slow when he came by our position here. He was going to have to make a pit stop, so maybe this caution will be a break for him, and hopefully he'll stay in the lead lap.
And there's Rusty Wallace, who has climbed out of his Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac and can now only watch the second half of this race. His afternoon is finished. Inside Jeff Bodine's car. Now the pace car will be picking up the field here in this lap, and then the pits will be open this coming lap. We'll be back with more from Watkins Glen after this. Under caution for the 3rd time this afternoon, Kyle Petty was able to come into the pits and take off that bad tire, and Jerry Punch will now be with Barry Dotson. Jerry?
Well, Barry Dotson talking to one of the NASCAR officials here. Barry, a tough break for you. What looked like the engine came apart?
Evidently, he said it quit over there, and something happened to it, so he pulled it off, I think.
What about down in turn one a few laps back between he and Earnhardt? What happened there?
That was our fault. We got in down too hard, and you know, as you could see early in the race, that's where we do most of our passing. We got in too hard, got into him. It was nothing intentional. That's what I was trying to tell Richard. They were complaining, and I told him, I said, quit your crying. You know, it blew up anyway. We just got in too hard. Our fault.
Well, they admitted, they apologized to Richard Childers, the car owner for Dale Earnhardt, but a tough break they are out of it here at Watkins Glen.
All right, Rusty Wallace, as we indicated in the open, really isn't that far off the pace of last year when he won the Winston Cup Championship. And here comes the field now off of the 7th corner, and most, including Jeff Bodine, will be headed for pit road for service. Jeff Bodine looking for the number 11. He spies it and now drops into his assigned pit position. And look at the action behind him. The number 12 car, Hut Strickland, and here's John Kernan.
Bob, they were just going to come in and gas and go. The number 12 Ray Best is spewing. However, now they've decided to change 4 tires. The left sides are already on. The right side's coming off, going on. It's going to be a pretty good pit stop for them. Apparently, Hut had radioed in and said he would like to change tires. Let's go now. Pit road, Dale Earnhardt's pit, and Jerry Hunt.
They are finishing a 4-tire change out here with the Goodrich Chevrolet. They have the left side tires being put on now. Earnhardt, of course, at the tail end of the field by virtue of that spin a few laps back. They will make sure they get everything in place. Get it out of the field. Earnhardt is down and away back toward turn 1.
Hut Strickland gave up his 5th position when he came in for that pit stop that John Kernan explained. He had moved from 16th all the way up to 12th spot. We're talking about Hut Strickland. And an even more better performance than that was Morgan Shepherd, who was running in 4th place, having moved up from his 23rd starting position. So a couple of guys are having really great races here in the first half of this event.
I sure didn't know that Hut Strickland was that good of a road racer, Bob. You know, when you talk about road racers, his name just doesn't pop up. But it's been popping up on our monitor right frequently, hasn't it?
It sure has. He's had a very, very good run so far today.
Of course, he had a good qualifying run here on Friday, qualified in the top 20, and I've been looking at him come through the S's and into turn 5 here. His car is running very smooth. He's doing a good job of driving.
You notice that the Mark Martin car did not come in for the pit stop, so he is going to be the leader of the race. There's Barry Dotson, the crew chief on Rusty Wallace's car, as he has moved behind the wall and is now taking it easy for the rest of the afternoon. You know, this event marks the first year of the death of Tim Richmond. A year ago today, Tim passed away, and Barry Dotson was one of his very best friends. The race goes on, and the green flag comes out. The Budweiser at the Glen 1990 back under green, 52 laps completed, and Mark Martin is at the head of the field.
Mark Martin just did not pit. Just like Ricky Rudd the last time, Mark Martin chose to stay on the racetrack and take the track position. Is it going to work? We'll have to find out. There's Ricky Rudd in the yellow 5 going by Brett Bodine, the green 26. There's Dale Jarrett. And then comes Jeff Bodine.
Well, Benny, they're heading up through the S's now, that long straight before they get into turn 5. And Mark Martin now does have those 5 bonus points that we talked about a little bit earlier, so he's back even with Dale Earnhardt. He's back ahead of him now on the racetrack, and there'll be quite a few points difference in them. Earnhardt's in the middle of the pack, trying to make his way up through there. One car smoking quite badly is Tommy Riggins as he comes into turn 5. We had mentioned, Bob, while I have it, that there was a red car that had stalled, and perhaps the reason for the caution after Kyle Petty spun out. That was Omar Kimbrough from Tyrone, Pennsylvania, who had stalled on the backstretch. They since have pulled his car to an off-track position here.
Olma made his Winston Cup debut a year ago here at Watkins Glen. We're riding at 4th place, Jeff Bodine. The leader is Mark Martin. 2nd place is Ricky Rudd. 3rd is Brett Bodine, and then Jeff Bodine. So the Bodine brothers are 3rd and 4th.
I'm sure this is a moment they've dreamed about in front of the hometown people, being able to run right together. Unfortunately, they always dreamed about 1-2. This is a race for 3rd and 4th.
Well, they had such a race at Pennsylvania a few weeks ago for 3rd and 4th. And now they're in that position again. And you're right, Benny. They wanted to be first and second, and there would be no better place to do it than here at the Glen, where they grew up in Chemung County.
Those trees that you see lining the course, well, Jeff Bodine used to climb into those trees in the 60s when he was a boy growing up in the Chemung, New York area and watching the Formula One race from here. There's the number 10 car of Derek Cope, which is very slow on the racetrack, and Derek Cope is having trouble. Here is Jeff Bodine trying to take the position away from Brett, and Jeff has it. Jeff moves to third.
Boy, that was a courageous move on the outside going in turn 5. I bet you he would not have done that had it been anyone but his little brother on the inside.
That's third, fourth, and fifth right there. Bodine, and then Labonte. And Terry Labonte will go to the left of your screen and try to pick up the position on Brett Bodine. And Terry Labonte does have it.
Meanwhile, Alan Kowicki in the Xerox Ford is back trying to get by cars. He's on the inside trying to get by the Morgan Shepherd car. And Morgan right behind Michael Waltrip in the Country Time Pontiac.
And not too far behind them, of course, is Dale Earnhardt into car number 3, and we have a full course yellow.
Once again, our fourth of the day, the fourth time that a full course caution has come out, maybe for that 10 car of Derek Cope that stalled.
Yeah, there's a car, it's either the 10 or the 17, Bob, that stalled just coming out of turn 4. Both of those cars brightly painted, and it is the car number 10 that is stalled over there.
Meanwhile, they're racing back to the line. There's Earnhardt trying to get by Kowicki on the outside.
That's for the 11th position, so Dale Earnhardt, who will drop way back to 20th. Hey, they're banging on each other out there.
And Schrader trying to follow Earnhardt through. Let's see. This is turn 6.
They're still banging on each other. Here they come.
Side by side, Bob.
Off the 7th corner as they come by me. I'll be able to see who wins the race back here, and it is going to be Earnhardt. Well, it was Kowicki, then Earnhardt, and then Schrader.
Wow. Who says you can't run two abreast on the road course? Those two guys proved you can.
Lap number 55, and once again the caution comes out here at Watkins Glen International Raceway because of the stalled car of Derek Cope. Dale Earnhardt has now moved himself up to 13th position. We'll be back in just a moment. It's Mark Martin leading Ricky Rudd. Jeff Bodine. Terry Labonte is running 4th, and Brett Bodine is running in 5th position. So sure, how many people are going to take advantage of this caution, because we just had one, and it appears as if very few will. Brett Bodine will come in for a pit stop. He was running in the top 5. Jerry Punch.
A lot of calculators being used out here, both in, of course, the Jack Roush pits for Mark Martin and the Junior Johnson pit for Jeff Bodine. Now, what they're trying to figure is how far they can go on fuel. They both pitted on lap 49 about 4 or 5 laps ago, took on tires and fuel. They couldn't make it the rest of the way from lap 49. However, if this caution were to last another 3 or 4 laps, they may want to come in and top off the tanks and try to make an effort to see if they can make it the rest of the way. A couple of cars have dived on pit road. One, of course, Brett Bodine, who was one of the running in 3rd spot when we went back to the flags. He is now down the way. Here we go again. Down pit road. And a couple of other cars are taking advantage of this caution flag. Butch Miller's car going back to turn 1. But probably going to get green before they get a chance to come in. But they can hold off to 58 or 60 laps. We might see some activity here in the pits.
Looks as if they're a little bit slow getting this car off the racetrack. That is Derek Cope's Purelator number 10, and still it is not off of the racetrack. So this yellow will continue for a couple of more laps. Well, last year here at the Watkins Glen Road Course, we had a tremendous race, as they always are at this facility. Here's this week's Purelator replay. Caution, however, should be going back green in just a moment. A reminder again about our Sports 1-900 number, as you can dial 1-900-SPORTS-1, $1.95 for the first minute and $1 for each additional minute. You can hear race highlights and news and some up-close and personal comments with several drivers, including Waltrip, Earnhardt, Wallace, Johnson, Elliott, Martin, Bodine, Petty, Gant, Waltrip, and Wilson. All you have to do is dial their car number after you dial that 1-900-SPORTS-1. Well, here's the situation on the racetrack. As you can see, the lights atop the pace car are out, and so we will be going back green. It's Mark Martin, the current Winston Cup points leader, showing the way. There's Ricky Rudd second. Jeff Bodine is third, followed by Terry Labonte, Hut Strickland. Then the 38 car of Dick Johnson, the Australian, making a good run here this afternoon, being shown in 6th position. The field going through your screen now. You can watch for your favorite driver and know where he is in relation to the front of the field. There's Irv Hare and Kyle Petty bringing up the tail of the field. The green flag waves, and look at this. Bodine and Rudd are going at it already. Headed for you, Benny.
That's Mark Martin and Ricky Rudd. Martin on the inside, Rudd on the outside. Now Rudd's going to try to duck under Martin on in turn 2. Let's see if he's able to make that. You don't want to go through this corner side by side. The 6 car, Mark Martin, is able to stay in front. Woo. Ned Jarrett is coming to you.
And boy, are they racing hard. No question about that, Benny. Martin able to hold off Ricky Rudd, but Rudd, one of the best road racers in the business. Very determined to get out front in the Levi Garrett Chevrolet as they approach number 5 now. They gear down and break down coming into that turn. They were running about 172 when they came to that turn before they started braking, so they're really turning the wick up now.
And Jeff Bodine has lost a couple of positions. Terry Labonte is now 3rd. Hut Strickland has moved to 4th, and then comes Jeff Bodine and then the number 11 Budweiser car. There is Hut Strickland. Boy, you got to take your hat off to Hut this afternoon in that Bobby Allison car, as he has moved all the way up to 4th and is showing some real road racing prowess despite some damage on the left side of that race car. 3 abreast racing as they head again for turn number 1.
They're going to have to get back inside because that's not the hot setup. Jeff Bodine goes by. He's followed by Michael Waltrip and Bill Elliott. Meanwhile, Dick Johnson and Alan Kowicki did make it to the corner side by side. You mentioned just a moment ago that Jeff Bodine has fallen back, and you're right. He's lost lots of ground. I see someone. Jerry Punch is in the pits. Jerry, has he got a problem?
Apparently, when he took the green flag, Benny, he radioed in here, and Brewer and the crew began to scramble. They are sitting here with 4 tires on the wall, waiting for Bodine to make a stop on the pit road. Apparently, he has a tire going down, and now they will go out on pit road with the big 11 board up and wait for Bodine to make the unscheduled stop. Tough break for Jeff Bodine, the hometown driver here from Chemung, New York, hoping to pick up that win today.
Michael Waltrip is all over him now as they head up through the S's once again. Now down through turn number 6. We'll see if Bodine comes into the pits. If so, he will make his commitment very, very shortly.
And Morgan Shepherd passed Bill Elliott on the outside, going in that corner. Bodine on the inside like he's going in the pits. Michael Waltrip goes by, and Jeff Bodine heads for the pits.
Jerry Punch reports on this unscheduled stop for Jeff Bodine.
Budweiser Ford coming down. They're holding the sideboard up. They will try to change the left side tires. Tim Brewer going to the left front here. Mike Hill in the left rear, putting fuel in the car. Henry Benfield sideboard and clean the windshield. They will also change right side tires. Or do you take a chance on guessing here? They will change all 4 tires. They're not going to lose a lap here because of the length of this road course. They will lose a lot of valuable time here under the green flag. Right side tire is now being taken off. Hill puts the right rear on. Brewer the right front. Jack takes by right, and he's down and away.
He'll fall to 19th position. Jeff Bodine falls from the top 5 to 19th position. And the man who used to race snowmobiles here at Watkins Glen has a lot of catching up to do. Here's the leader, Mark Martin. There's his advantage on Ricky Rudd, Terry Labonte, and Hut Strickland.
Bob Jenkins, let's face it, Jeff Bodine, Tim Brewer, the entire Budweiser crew are praying that this race will go green flag the rest of the way because they can make it to the end of the race without having to stop. All the fellows we're seeing now on camera are going to have to stop for at least gasoline. So, Jeff Bodine praying for no cause to play.
So that may not have been such a disadvantage after all. If this thing continues to go green, Jeff would be able to go the distance. Everybody else has to stop for fuel.
Exactly right, Bob.
Now let's take a look at our mid-race recap as we watch the action on the racetrack. Our Western Auto race recap shows Mark Martin leading 11 of the 60 laps, 3 caution periods for a total of 11 laps, 9 cars on the lead lap at an average of 88.941, and the race record is 90.682. We're running below the race record. Those that have led a lap include Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, Irv Hare, Ricky Rudd, Jeff Bodine, and Mark Martin. And now those that have dropped out of the race, and there will be some pretty big names on this list as Greg Sachs nosed into the tire barrier early in the event, and Rusty Wallace has also dropped out of competition.
Look at Morgan Shepherd. Went by Michael Walter, took that spot away. There's Alan Kowicki trying to get back.
And the Mechanic of the Year standing show us that Robin Pemberton on the number 6 car. This, of course, sponsored by Western Auto, is on top with Tim Brewer, Andy Petrie, Danny Glad, and Mike Beam rounding out the top 5 in the battle for the Mechanic of the Year award. Here comes Morgan Shepherd. Right behind him is Michael Waltrip and Alan Kowicki, and then Dale Earnhardt, who's threading his way through the traffic.
Earnhardt has that Goodrich Chevrolet really humming now, Bob, because I saw him just a moment ago passing cars through the S's, going two abreast through the S's. Earnhardt, he wants to get back to the front where he feels like that car ought to be.
And Bob, while you were making that report a moment ago, Hut Strickland moved around Terry Labonte and moved into the 3rd position. Of course, Mark Martin leading as you come into turn 5, and Ricky Rudd running 2nd, Hut Strickland 3rd with a lot of sheet metal damage on the side of that car. Terry Labonte is 4th, Morgan Shepherd 5th.
Now Dale Earnhardt looking for the opportunity to pass Alan Kowicki in the number 7 car. Xerox, the sponsor of the car the past couple of years, won't be back in 1991, and they are using every inch of the racetrack out there.
This is by far the best race on the racetrack. Just a few car lengths separated, and Morgan Shepherd gets off in the dirt. That's where you get flat tires, Morgan. Be careful.
There is the leader. And here comes the 3rd place car, Kowicki, way off course up there in turn number 7. But the man you've got to be impressed with is Hut Strickland, running in 3rd position. Here's Kowicki moving to the inside, taking a look on Michael Waltrip. So Martin continues to show the way in the Budweiser at the Glen Winston Cup race from Watkins, Glen, New York. Coming into this race, here are the point standings and how they are running. Mark Martin, the leader in points, is the leader of the race. Dale Earnhardt has currently moved up to 8th position. Jeff Bodine is back to 17th, but don't count him out yet. Rusty Wallace is out of the race, and Kyle Petty is running in 30th spot. So Mark Martin, if he continues to lead and if he should win this race, will add to his points lead over Dale Earnhardt. There's Ricky Rudd running in 2nd spot. We understand that perhaps there might be a fuel pickup problem on that number 6 car that's leading. Jerry, what can you tell us about that?
We are standing here with Jack Roush. And Jack, what's the problem?
Well, he just said he had to come next time. We're not sure if it's tires or fuel. We think we have 3 laps left on the fuel. He says he can get one more, but we're bringing him on in.
Okay, so apparently it is fuel, and the car was sputtering as it came by. Steve Beal jumped off the perch and said, here comes the Motocraft Ford car. Steve Beal said apparently the car is out of fuel. They could have gone about 3 more laps, they thought, on the fuel that they had, but the car began to sputter, and then Mark Martin ready and said, I'm coming in next time by. The crew, the Folgers crew, standing here, shaking their head, waiting for their driver to come down pit road and bring the Ford Thunderbird here in the pits. Here comes Mark Martin on pit road. Steve Mill and the rest of the Folgers crew, the Roush Racing crew, are going to work now. Robin Pemberton moves out, change the left front tire. Steve Mill will change the left rear tire. They'll clean the windshield with the all-important fuel now going in this car. And will change all 4 tires. First can of fuel going in, second can of fuel going in. Left side tires are on. We'll run around to the right side of the car. Now, right side lug-nuts coming off the front. Robin Pemberton had a little trouble to get the right front tire off. Now the right rear going back on. Tires are on. Pulled out. Back in gear. He is down and away.
Mark Martin roars back out in competition, and as you mentioned, Jerry, the number 15 car of Morgan Shepherd, the Motocraft Ford, also made a pit stop, relinquishing his 5th position to make what will undoubtedly be his final stop of the afternoon.
Bob Jenkins, Mark Martin was smart to make that pit stop. The Roush team, they were smart to make that pit stop because as he exited the pit, he was just about a quarter of the front straightaway in front of Jeff Bodine. Remember, Jeff stayed out there a couple of laps with the car going slow. Martin able to come in as soon as he felt like he had a problem. That was a smart move.
So that could be where our emphasis shifts later in the race to those 2 guys. Oh, and the number 30 car of Michael Waltrip is on course, trying to get back on, and does. Michael Waltrip, who is running up in 6th position, gets off the track. And he falls in right behind Ernie Irvin.
we see Bill Elliott. There's Tom Kendall in the Edge Chevrolet, EDS Chevrolet.
He's running 11th, by the way. Here's Terry Labonte, who is in the pits. He was running in 4th spot.
They had changed left side tires only on Labonte. Left side tires fueled it up. No right side tire change. He is down and away.
And there's Mark Martin. Watch as Terry Labonte comes out of the pits. Mark Martin goes by. Who's going to have the spot? Labonte is in front of Mark Martin, but he has only 2 tires. Is that going to be enough to stay in front of Mark Martin? We'll just have to wait and see.
Now Ricky Rudd, the 1988 Budweiser at the Glen winner, is up in front again. Ricky Rudd is leading this race, and now running in 2nd position is the number 12 car of Hut Strickland. We'll be back with more of our live coverage after this. Back at the Budweiser at the Glen Winston Cup race from Watkins Glen, New York. Here comes the leader of the event, Ricky Rudd, in car number 5, the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, showing the way over the number 12 car of Hut Strickland. There's the interval between 1st and 2nd. Without doubt, the best Winston Cup effort that Hut Strickland has ever had.
Yeah, I was going to tell the folks, Bob, you did not misspeak. That's Hut Strickland running 2nd on a road course.
He has just been outstanding this afternoon.
And Dale Earnhardt has worked his way back up to 3rd spot after these guys, Mark Martin, Terry Labonte, and Jeff Bodine, made some unscheduled pit stops. Guess who's 3rd? Dale Earnhardt.
We're waiting to see Dale. Here he comes, and right behind him is Alan Kowicki. So this is the battle for 3rd position. Kowicki having another good run. Alan Kowicki finished 2nd in the Pepsi 400 and now is trying to take over the spot from Dale Earnhardt, and by golly, he gets it done.
Yes, he does. He moves right down on the inside going into turn 5, Bob, and moves around Earnhardt. So Kowicki having a very good run here today.
There's another guy that can't spell road course either.
There's Ken Schrader, number 25. He's running 5th. Right behind him is Ernie Irvin in the Kodak film car. Here's the number 9 car of Bill Elliott. There's Michael Waltrip,
who just blew up, by the way.
Oh boy, he sure did, and gets off course, and so did Ernie Irvin. Flame coming from underneath the Michael Waltrip car as he gets it back on the track, and Ernie Irvin also pulls back on course.
I guess that was Ernie that spun out with the blue smoke we saw. I thought Michael had blown up.
Sure looked like it. Appears as if they're both okay, though. They stay out there. Let's take a look at it again, Benny. Maybe we can see what happened.
Yeah, here comes Ernie in the corner. He loses control, and I guess that's the smoke that we saw. I thought, oh, that's Michael Waltrip blocking the brakes up to try to avoid Ernie. And all that fuel got down in the exhaust while he was off the throttle, and when he hit the gas, the flames shot out.
So a little off-course excursion, but all is well as we go back up front and take a look at the leader of the race, Ricky Rudd. Check his advantage over 2nd place Hut Strickland. We'll let this field go by again for you. There goes the number 2 car, which is now being driven by Greg Sachs, by the way. There's Kowicki, Earnhardt, and Schrader coming through.
Schrader's got a pretty good run going.
He finished 3rd in the Pepsi Firecracker 400 at Daytona in July. Here's the number 9 car, Bill Elliott. He's in 6th spot. He comes off of corner number 7. And behind Bill Elliott is Tom Kendall, who yesterday finished 2nd to his teammate Chris Neifel in the Trans Am race here at the Glen. There's Sterling Marlin right behind him. The number 94 machine. He's finishing, or rather running in 8th spot at the moment. So it's Kendall in 7th, and then Sterling Marlin in 8th.
And there comes one of the Skull cars. I think that was Labonte.
Now that was Irv Hare. I believe he's running 9th.
Okay, then followed by Ernie Irvin. There went Kyle Petty. Davey Allison goes by.
Davey Allison, he's not on the lead lap, but he's still out there.
Mark Martin.
There's Labonte, and there's Sarl Vandermerwe, the Darrell Waltrip car. Waltrip hopes to be back in full action by Bristol.
And there comes Jeff Bodine.
We have him in 14th position at the moment. There's Mark Martin. And the most recent Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance report on Mark shows it took him 16.4 seconds to enter and exit the pits. And it took the crew 23 seconds to do service on the car for a total of 39.4. Let's compare that now to the performance on Terry Labonte. There it is, 16.1 for the driver and 18.7, much better for the crew. Total of 34.8 seconds for Terry Labonte.
See, Bob, now I told you, who's going to look after you? Labonte only changed 2 tires.
Yep, you're
and
right.
you're saying he was...
Well, now, I just said that it didn't take it took the crew less time, but that's because they only changed 2 tires.
Oh, you were going to say that, weren't you?
Well, you did. So. Now we're continuing to show you some of the cars that are still out there. There's Van der Merwe with some damage on the right front of that Tide Chevrolet. Sarl Van der Merwe from Point Elizabeth, South Africa, substituting for Darrell Waltrip in this car today. Here comes Jeff Bodine. The Budweiser Ford prepared by Junior Johnson. Tim Brewer. Here comes the 98 car. That car earlier this afternoon went behind the wall, the PC Planter Chevrolet driven by Butch Miller. However, it is, of course, back on the racetrack.
And there's some smoke coming from that car, Bob. Don't know what the problem is. It might be rear gearing smoke, but Butch Miller definitely having some smoke from his car.
Butch had his best finish at Pocono not too long ago. Here comes Bobby Killen in the number 8 car. The 15 car of Morgan Shepherd. These guys, by the way, at least Bobby Killen is 1 lap down. Morgan Shepherd is on the lead lap. He's running in 15th spot. And here comes Michael Waltrip. He has been in the pits and he's also been on and off the course, but nevertheless has remained on the lead lap.
I was going to say, Michael's been out through the toolies checking everything out today a couple of times.
And
here's our leader.
Yep, Ricky Rudd, the leader of the race, is in. John Kernan reports.
Ricky Rudd pulls the Levi Garrett Chevrolet close to the pit wall. This will be a 2-tire change as they go to work on the left side, making what will be his final pit stop. 1 can of fuel going in, the rest going in for good measure. Left side lungs being tight. Ricky is down and away. 12.7 seconds, a good pit stop for the Levi Garrett crew.
And we watch the foot cam as he exits the pits. On the brakes, on the accelerator. Up through the gears. He uses the clutch to upshift.
He's in 3rd gear going through turn 2, up the hill, turn 3. Now back towards turn 4. Into 4th gear. Down the long, fast straightaway to turn 5.
And really he is at top speed now. He'll start slowing down coming into turn 5. But he had got her up to about 166 miles an hour before he started slowing down. That's pretty good just coming out of the pit. You know, he's not too far behind Will Elliott, who may or may not have to make a pit stop. So Rudd is in a pretty good track position out there now.
I tell you,
Hut Strickland is the leader of the race, but he is due for a pit stop before too long. Hut Strickland picks up 5 bonus Winstead Cup points for leading the Budweiser at the Glen. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Budweiser at the Glen, where Alan Kowicki is now leading this race. There he is. The number 12 car of Hut Strickland came in for a pit stop, and that gives the lead to Allen. And Kowicki has really began to turn his season around here in the second half. He was 2nd at Daytona. He was 17th at Pocono. He was 4th at Talladega just a couple of weeks ago. And now Alan Kowicki finds himself leading this race.
Bob, the 7 car, Alan Kowicki, he was closing in on the 12 car even before Hut Strickland made his pit stop. Alan Kowicki, he is doing a super job on the road course today. Hey, Bob, I tell you what, I think I'm going to go to a different spot. I've watched these cars go by here long enough. I'm going to get a different view. Check with you later.
Well, be careful climbing down that ladder now, because you're not as young as you used to be, and we're all concerned about you, so be careful. Climb down. Benny's going to go down to turn number 7. And that's a good place for him, because it's very, very possible. That away. Nice and slow. It's very possible that we could see a side-by-side battle coming out of the 7th corner on the last lap, and Benny will be right there to tell us about it. Here comes the leader, Alan Kowicki. He's due a pit stop, though. Just so happens that the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt is in 2nd position. There he is.
And Ricky Rudd, who has made a pit stop, Bob, is not too far behind. So he might be the fellow in the best position right now, because he is gaining on the front runners, and he has made his pit stop. How about Earnhardt and Kowicki? Do they have a stop yet to make?
Well, that's a good question. We assume that both of them do, but then you never know. And here is Ricky Rudd, who is 3rd position and has the fuel to go the rest of the way. Here's the 33 car of Harry Ginn, who is not on the lead lap. And so Ricky Rudd may be in a position to win his 2nd race here at the Budweiser Glen. Here answers one question. Dale Earnhardt rolling toward his pit.
Dale Earnhardt brings the Goodrich Chevrolet in. He will pull all the way to the left side. He will change only the right side tires. Now, a little bit different. Remember, Ricky Rudd changed left side tires, as did Bill Elliott and some of the other front runners. Earnhardt getting only right side tires and fuel. The car is literally out of gas. The car burping, busy as it came down pit road. 11.3 seconds. They got fuel in the car. Chocolate Myers, the crew. He is down and away. We have just been told a minute ago that Mark Martin has radioed in that he has cut a tire in the Folgers Ford. The crew now waiting for Mark Martin to come off pit road. Unscheduled stop for the car number 6, and a tough break for our current Winston Cup point leader. Could be the difference in the point change here. Here is Mark Martin bringing that car to a halt, and they will change the left side tires. On in. Left front and left rear, off to the windshield. Another unscheduled pit stop for this crew. It will be a tough break for them. They will not lose a lap. A lot of valuable time. Whoa, the car gets stuck down the jack. They finally ripped the jack from the car, and Martin is down and away.
He was running 6th, Jerry, when he came in for that pit stop. So Mark Martin back out onto the racetrack, but he definitely suffered some serious setbacks there in that little incident.
Yeah, those extra seconds, Bob, cost him a lot of time, and no telling how many positions out on the racetrack.
There is Alan Kowicki, who continues to lead. And we remind you that at 8 o'clock tonight, it's baseball live here on ESPN. National League game featuring the Padres and the Astros. That's at 8 o'clock tonight, Eastern Time, right here on ESPN. Kowicki continuing to lead. Last year here at the Glen, he finished in 39th position. A great run going this afternoon, but he does need a pit stop.
Ricky Rudd now has moved into 2nd place after Earnhardt made his pit stop. And he is closing in a little bit. That's Strickland back to 3rd now after making his pit stop, so he's still up there in the thick of the battle. Earnhardt coming into turn 5 now, running in 4th place. And Perry Labonte, the way we see it here, in 5th place.
Our Sports 1-900 number offers information on the race, this race, on news from the Winston Cup scene, and close-up and personal comments from drivers. 1-900-SPORTS-1 is the number. $1.95 for the first minute and $1 for each additional minute. Now, Alan Kowicki last pitted on lap number 49. We have completed 79 laps of this race, and word is that he will be in next time around on lap number 80, 10 laps from the finish.
Well, that's about as far as you want to stretch it on a road course, Bob. Certainly you don't want to run out of gas unless you could be lucky enough to do it just coming into turn 7. Because if you run out of gas going into turn 1 or even up through the S's, you can't even coast back around. They'd have to come and get you with a tow truck.
You are history, and Alan Kowicki is approaching turn number 7. The crew is waiting for him, getting set to give that car some gas and put fresh tires on it. He's in turn number 6 right now. We'll be going to the inside of the track for the pit entrance right here at corner number 7.
Here it is. He's on his way to pit road. Alan Kowicki, the leader, is coming in, and John Kernan will tell us about this.
The Xerox Ford crew, Paul Andrews and company, awaiting Alan Kowicki's arrival. This will be a very quick gas and go. Ricky Rudd goes by to assume the lead. The fuel going into Kowicki's tank. And now Alan is away in only 4.3 seconds, but Rudd has taken the lead.
Ricky Rudd, and we're riding with him right now, is less than 10 laps from victory in the Budweiser at the Glen. Can he hang on for the win? Well, we'll tell you in about 10 laps. You're watching live coverage of the Budweiser at the Glen Winston Cup race. Jenkins, Benny Parsons.
For the Budweiser at the Glen Winston Cup race, which now has 9 laps to go. The leader is number 5, Ricky Rudd. Now, the number 6 car of Mark Martin is not on the lead lap. He's trying to get a lap back. He just lost it with another pit stop. And now he does get the lap back. So Mark Martin is now on the lead lap, and there are 14 machines on the lead lap. But Ricky Rudd is the leader. That's Irv Heron, the number 0 car, just ahead of Mark Martin.
Well, I don't think Ricky Rudd put up too much resistance to Mark Martin getting back in the lead lap. He has a pretty good lead himself. Alan Kowicki came back out in 2nd place. Hurt Strickland remains in 3rd place. But Ricky knows, that Mark has no chance of catching up to him, so why not let him go and rather than have somebody back there on your back bumper pressure.
Well, this battle right here is for 14th position between the 0 and the number 6 car, but our main concern is Ricky Rudd. Of the last 7 road races in Winston Cup competition, 5 have been won by Rusty Wallace, and the other 2 have been won by Ricky Rudd. And he appears to be on his way to victory here this afternoon. Waddell Wilson is our Western Auto mechanic of the race.
Waddell, we just learned you've been named the Western Auto Mechanic of the race. Congratulations.
Well, I really appreciate this. I appreciate Western Auto, and, this has been a gambling day, and so far everything's went well this part of it. The first part, I felt like we wasn't even going to finish the same lap, but Rick is a super road racer, and we're just trying to help him right now.
The pit stop work, a quick pit stop on that last one really helped you out.
Well, there again, that was a gamble, but I felt like it was the only chance we really had. And, we need to win, and that's what we're trying to do.
Waddell Wilson trying to gamble a little bit and win one for his driver, and right now it looks like they are in great position to do just that.
Indeed, 83 laps have been completed. There are less than 7 to go. While we have the opportunity, we want to mention a couple of things. Wendell Scott, very ill in Danville, Virginia.
Bob Jenkins, we have a crash in turn 7.
Sarl Vandermerve, isn't it, Benny?
And Hutch Strickland also made contact coming through turn 7, and both of them heavy into the guardrail. It looks like a full course caution, is it, Bob?
Yes, it is. The yellow flag is waving from Doyle Ford. Full course. You must just got there, right, Benny?
Can't you tell I'm out of breath?
Well, let's hope that everything is okay down there in turn number 7. We're watching this from our camera at the end of turn number 1, and here's a replay of what happened. Ned, can you see this?
It looks like the car number 17 maybe had a flat, Bob. I don't know. Then he came down into the inside barrier there, and I couldn't really tell what happened from there. And there's trouble up off of the S's as well.
Charles, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What happened, do you know?
That guy just came in there and took me out, I don't know.
Hutch Strickland just came in and hit him, he said. Let's go down and check with Hutch Strickland.
Sarl Vandermerve is okay. He's out of the car. The number 3 car has a flat tire, we understand. Earnhardt has a flat.
Yeah, he was off the course up through the S's. I'm not sure but what he spun, Bob Jenkins. Yeah. He is going very slow coming into turn 5. In fact, there is some damage on the left rear quarter panel of that Goodwrench Chevrolet. That tire is completely shredded from the wheel. He should be able to get it back to the pits, but there was a lot of trouble as he came up through the S's with Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah, you can see that Earnhardt did spin the car and get it off course. Now he has literally shredded that left rear tire as he makes his way toward pit road. This happens under the caution brought out by the accident in turn number 7 involving Sarl Vandermerve and Hutch Strickland. At the Glen, under caution, Ricky Rudd is the leader, followed by Alan Kowicki, Terry Labonte, Jeff Bodine, and Bill Elliott. Our Speed World coverage of the Budweiser at the Glen being brought to you by
Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by Quaker State, the Big Q is one tough motor oil. Crash in turn number 7 is the reason for the caution period. That involved Sarl van der Merwe in number 17, the Darrell Waltrip car, and Hut Strickland, who was running in the top 5. And here is the incident once again. Strickland on the inside as they went through the corner. Looks like he got the car a little sideways, bumped into Sarl van der Merwe, and both of them went into the wall in turn number 7. Benny?
Hut Strickland, you had a fantastic run going today.
Well, Benny, it really was. I'll tell you, it's what kind of surprised a few people, including myself there, I'll tell you, on these road courses. I hadn't got a whole lot of experience, but it was a good run for us, the whole Ray Besse's Buick team. All the guys done a super job all day long. And it's just an unfortunate deal right there at the end of the race. He come down lap car right there, and, I drove down under him, and I thought he saw me, and when he come down, I just, that late in the race, you don't have a full brake pedal like you need to have. And, just couldn't get stopped fast enough. Just hit him. It was one of them deals.
You're not going to try to fix the car, are you?
No, I don't think so, Benny. I think it's beyond repair.
Well, okay, why don't you ride over to the ambulance, walk over to the ambulance. I'm going to check over here and see the cars. Thanks, Hut. Let me go over here and just see how much damage there is to this Red Besse's Buick. Bob, let me tell you, there's some serious damage. The left front tire is pointing straight towards me, and the car is pointing straight towards you.
Well, it's not going to be able to go back to the pit area without the aid of a hook, and it is there, and we'll be getting the car off the track momentarily here, and there are only 5 laps to go. Jerry Punch on pit road.
Have any idea why Dale Earnhardt might have spun over in the S's? Well, take a look. This was his left rear tire that came off the car. When he finally made his way back to pit road, this tire completely shredded away, including the inner liner, which they use on a road course to try to get the drivers back to pit road. This is part of the inner liner inside. It took a beating, too, having been cut down, of course. He had 3 flat tires, left rear, left front, and right front when he came in for this pit stop. It's now at the tail of the field. Bob?
All right, Jerry, there are 3 guys that very definitely benefited because of this yellow, namely Mark Martin, Herb Hare, and Morgan Shepherd. All of those guys were running at the tail end of the lead lap, but they're right back up there in the thick of things now. Still under caution as they try to remove the wreckage from turn number 7. We'll take another break from Watkins Glen, New York. Alan Kulwicki, Terry Labonte, Jeff Bodine, and Bill Elliott. Second 5, Brett Bodine, Michael Waltrip, Sterling Marlin, Tommy Kendall, and Rob Moroso. Getting the cars off the track that were involved in that crash up at turn number 7 involving Hut Strickland and Sarl van der Merwe. We've talked to both drivers. They are okay. The same cannot be said about their race cars. Coming up at 4 o'clock here on ESPN, the Thriftway ATP Tennis Championships. That'll be live at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, about 36 minutes from right now. We've got about 3.5 more laps to go here in our race this afternoon, and this caution period has bunched up the field and could mean a real shootout because we have been watching Alan Kulwicki, who has looked very strong in the last few laps. Now, again, a reminder about our 900 Sports 1-900 number. $1.95 for the first minute at $1 for each additional minute. The number to dial is 1-900 Sports 1, and then punch in the number of your favorite driver, and you can hear some personal comments from him, and you'll also get a report on today's race and any of the news in the world of racing. One big bit of news was an announcement made this morning here at Watkins Glen concerning the Busch Clash for next year. It'll be a 20-lap race, 10 laps, and then the leader of the race at the end of 10 laps will be awarded $25,000. You can come in for pit stops. The pace car will remain out. Then they will invert the field for the last 10 laps, and the winner of that 10-lap event gets $35,000. So they definitely changed the format of the Busch Clash next February at Daytona International Speedway. A while ago, we were taking some time to mention a few people we would like to say hello to. First of all, Wendell Scott, first black driver to ever win a Grand National Winston Cup race, very ill in Danville, Virginia. Our best to him. Jenny Thatcher, just recovering from some surgery. Also Jeff Probst, Russ Brown, and Jeannie Metcalf, who is unable to be with us in the scoring as she normally is during a Winston Cup race. She is at her home. And happy birthday to Marilyn and Lynn Jeffers, and also Lenny Pond, who turned 50 years old yesterday. The lights in the pace car are out. We are about to go green once again.
Bob, let's take a look at that car number 1 on the restart. Terry Labonte, who is running in 3rd place. When he went by my position over here, it looked like the left rear tire might have been down on that car a little bit. So we'll watch him as they get the green flag here in just a moment.
Field coming off corner number 7, beginning to pick up the pace. And here's the green flag that comes out. And we are 2 laps from the end of the race. The green out on lap number 87 it is. We've got 3 more laps to go. 3 laps to go. Rudd pulling away as Jeff Bodine was able to take the spot away from Alan Kowicki.
Oh, Kowicki got a terrible start just when it meant so much. A terrible, terrible start. And then, you were right, Terry Labonte followed the pace car down pit road with a flat tire.
It's a tough break for him. He'll now be at the back end of those in the lead lap, so that's going to mean moving from 3rd back to about 15th position. Now, Ricky Rudd comes down the long backstretch, running about 168 miles an hour as he approaches turn 5. He knows that he's got to give it all he's got now because he sees Jeff Bodine in the rearview mirror. He has a comfortable lead, but he knows that anything can happen. He wants to keep as big a lead as he possibly can.
And something's wrong with Kowicki's car because Brett Bodine has passed the Xerox Ford, and he is falling back.
Xerox Ford has fallen back to 5th in line. And here comes Kyle Petty and Alan Kowicki running side by side through that 6th corner. And they remain side by side through corner number 7. Now Kyle Petty is not on the lead lap. Kyle Petty not on the lead lap. John, what do you know about this Alan Kowicki problem?
Bob, I just talked to Paul Andrews, the crew chief for Alan Kowicki. He says that the clutch is slipping, so Alan is trying to hang on and finish as high up as he can.
Yeah, that would certainly have been evident on the restart. Now with 2 laps to go, Alan Kowicki falls back to 5th position. So he was running so well here until we had the green flag and the restart of this race after that caution. And now the clutch goes away on Alan Kowicki. But Ricky Rudd is the leader. Here comes Jeff Bodine. And Jeff Bodine has got to be thinking about what happened to him with 2 laps to go last year. Right there at that particular portion of the racetrack when the brake rotor went away and he went head first into the wall.
And he was driving that car, number 5, or for the same team, not that particular car, but he was driving for that team last year when that happened. So now he's looking at that car leading the race.
Back in 3rd position is Brett Bodine. This is going to be a great day for the Bodines, who grew up just a few miles from here. They're running 2nd and 3rd at the moment. And they are now, the white flag is being displayed for Ricky Rudd. Rudd has 1 more lap to go. There's Brett Bodine in the Quaker State Buick owned by Kenny Bernstein. Now in 3rd position, Rudd heads into turn number 1. Here comes the rest of the field. Down the main straightaway, the number 30 car of Michael Waltrip and the 9 machine of Bill Elliott are fighting for position. And the 94 of Sterling Marlin also fighting for position. Oh, and we have a spin. There's Herb here and Bill Elliott. Elliott tags the wall. A lot of cars involved in an incident in turn number 1 on the last lap. Bill Elliott is included, so is Herb Hare. But everybody running toward the front of the field makes it through okay.
And Ricky Rudd with a good lead, Bob, as he comes into turn 5, driving very smoothly through here, on his way to victory.
The caution flag is out, but these fellows are racing back to the line. The caution flag doesn't mean anything if Jeff Bodine can beat him back, or Brett can beat Jeff. It doesn't mean a thing. Let's see. Jeff is falling back, but Brett is close enough on his older brother.
And here comes Ricky Rudd off of corner number 7. About to take the checkered flag and win the Budweiser at the Glen. And here is the battle for 2nd position. There is the checkered and yellow waving simultaneously. Here come the Bodines off corner number 7, and Jeff finishes in 2nd position. Brett right alongside him is in 3rd, and Michael Waltrip, I believe, got 4th spot.
It was pretty close with Bobby Hill, and all 4 of those cars came off turn 7 side by side.
So Ricky Rudd picks up his 2nd win here at Watkins Glen. He won in 1988. Let's go to John Kernan.
Well, we're right in the middle of the celebration. This is the first win, not only the first win for this 5-car, but the first win this year for a Rick Hendrick team. I tell you, been close, and I bet this is really sweet right now.
Well, you know, Ricky drove a heck of a race, but we've had 5 or 6 races this year when there was 10, 15 laps to go and we had something happen. And I just wanted to see him come around that last corner. We needed it, and it was a great race, and a tribute to Waddell, the crew, and Ricky. Great race.
What about the boost to the morale throughout the whole Hendrick Motorsports program?
Well, you know, we won 11 races last year, and this is over halfway the season. This is our first race, but you know, the guys know they can do it. They just got to come back. Maybe this will make it easier weeks to come. I hope so.
Bob, I don't think you'll find a happier bunch of guys anywhere at any time.
And here is Alan Kowicki pushing his car to the finish line. He'll finish in 10th position. Now here is a replay of the crash. Now watch Ricky Rudd go out of frame at the bottom of your screen. Now watch what happens up here in turn number 1. Second and third come through. There are the Bodines. Marlin, Kendall, and Bill Elliott all get together. Meanwhile, Irv Hare spins behind them, and here comes Bill Elliott headed into the guardrail just off of corner number 1.
There was 2 or 3 wrecks going on there at the same time.
Yeah, Hare spun behind the contact that was made by Marlin, Kendall, and Elliott. But everybody is okay. We understand that Alan Kowicki's car just caught fire. Well, I tell you, if it isn't one problem, it's another for Ricky Rudd. Rudd is the winner of the Budweiser at the Glen. We'll be back to talk with him in a moment. The last time he visited Victory Lane was on the road course at Sonoma in June of last year. Ricky Rudd's best previous finish this year, a third 3 times. He's in Victory Lane today. Let's go down for our Road Handler Winner's Circle interview. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
And they are indeed happy today. Ricky jumped out of the car, went around and began hugging the crew and hugging Barbara Wilson, Waddell Wilson's wife. Here is crew chief. And Ricky, congratulations on an outstanding effort.
Oh, thank you, Jerry. I tell you, I can't say enough about this Levi Garrett Exxon crew. You know, at the beginning of the year, we were struggling a little bit. Things are starting to be coming on better each week. And the victory today, I just can't say enough for Rick Kendricks, his whole outfit, I tell you. And it was a busy day. I tell you, I got to say that it's probably the hardest race I've ever had to win.
There was some bump and run early on there. You and a couple of guys getting together and getting off course. Did you think back then he was going to have any shot at it?
Well, I really did. I knew that it wasn't going to be any. I knew that it wasn't going to be a big panic situation. I got behind. I tried to take a move. I went to go to the inside of Alan Kowicki, and I made it. My car started wheel hopping. The track has gotten real rough down in turn 1, and I brake hopped, and I couldn't get my nose pulled back out of there, and I stuck it in there and body slammed Jeff, and I guess we both spun out. But that wasn't as big a concern as it was flat tires all day. Again, like at Sears Point, that's what I thought was going to do us in. And I see at the very end, Mark Martin started having some of the troubles that we had earlier in the day, and he had a real fast car.
Well, Ricky Rudd in Victory Lane getting a big kiss from wife Linda here, and the Levi Garrett crew celebrating the first win of the year for the Hendrick Motorsports team. Bob?
Last year he finished 26th here and is the winner today. Benny?
Bob, it was an experiment, but I tell you what, I kind of like working without you, buddy.
Well, thanks a lot. Well, I hope you sweated out there today, and they're all tired out because it's nice and refreshed here in the booth. Ned, thanks for your help there in turn number 5. Well, your mic has worked okay all day, and it dies here on the final comments. Okay, well, we'll see you next Sunday in Michigan when we have another Winston Cup race. Again, thanks for your help. The top 15 finishers here this afternoon. Rudd the winner, Jeff and Brett Bodine second and third, followed by Michael Waltrip and Mark Martin. 6 through 10, Morgan Shepherd, Dale Earnhardt, Tommy Kendall, Ken Schrader, and Alan Kowicki. Finishing in 11th position was Bill Elliott, Rob Moroso 12th, Terry Labonte 13th, Sterling Marlin 14th, and Bobby Hillen 15th. The unofficial standings now in Winston Cup competition, a 10-point advantage for Mark Martin over Dale Earnhardt. Jeff Bodine, Rusty Wallace, and Morgan Shepherd are the top 5 in Winston Cup points. Baseball tonight at 8 o'clock. The Padres against the Astros live here on ESPN. And we'll be at Michigan International Speedway a week from today. The Champion Sparkplug 400 Winston Cup race. That'll be on at noon Eastern Time live here on ESPN. Thanks to Benny, Ned, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch. This is Bob Jenkins. So long, everyone.